And we're talking about the Euros last night, and England absolutely thumped Sweden 4-0. They're through to the final at Wembley. It's a sellout at the weekend, and It's Coming Home was playing on Sky Sports News in one of the ad breaks this morning. So Emma Byrne, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. How are we?
England are pretty good, really. All things considered, they are very, very good at the moment.
They are, and it was actually the first time I texted one of my former Arsenal teammates, and I went, "Okay, I'm saying it now. England are very good. That's it." And she replied, "I'm shocked you're saying this."
Yeah.
But yeah, they're very, very good. Very, very impressive from everybody. Everybody on the bench, the management. It just looks like a very, very solid team at the moment.
Serena Wiegman, 19 games unbeaten, scored over 100 goals. So this isn't unexpected in some ways, but I think the quality of the performances and the absolute dominance they're showing so far, that is unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a great, build up to the tournament, and bringing Serena Wiegman in was just a fantastic idea from the FA. But I think what's more surprising is the fact that they can handle the pressure. They can soak up the pressure from oppositions, for me, that are simply better than them. And they soak up that pressure for them. They're able to manage the game very well, which is something we haven't seen from them. And then they know when to attack. And when they attack, they score their goals. So in general, all around, it's just a fantastic tournament for them. Plus, everybody's fit. Everybody's ready to play. It just seems like everything's right for them at the moment.
Massive Serena Wiegman fans in the house there with you, Emma, by the sounds of things. She was saying afterwards that this result will go all over Europe and the world. It was such a performance that tomorrow everyone will talk about us. She's kind of leaned into this idea that we're the favourites now. I presume they're going to be favourites for the final, depending on what happens tonight. But they're not playing this down because there's nothing else you can do as England manager when the hype starts to build, but just lean into it as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much parrying off you can do. And, managers do it all the time. They always say they're not the favourites. They always want to go into the game as the underdogs. And Serena Wiegman's team might have been able to do that a little bit, but not anymore. I mean, they've just shown that they're able to dominate games. You can just feel the atmosphere in the stadiums, the countries behind them. They have to accept it and go with it now at this stage, and maybe that can give them even more confidence going into the final if they can deal with it well.
Can I ask you about the Russo goal last night? It looks incredible, but I want to get your perspective on it from the goalkeeper standpoint, because it's a split-second thing. I presume as a goalkeeper you end up feeling a little bit foolish, but it is very, very hard to do anything about it when you don't expect the player to backheel it.
Yeah, I mean, I actually felt really sorry for Lindell as a goalkeeper myself, because it's a really difficult shot to handle, because what would have been going through Lindell's mind is, where's she going to go next? She had her back to goal, so she's going to think she's going to lay it off, or, she has to be aware of the dangerous players around her. You never expect someone to backheel it from there. It's the cheekiest thing I've seen in a semi-finals, and it was just a fantastic goal. There's not much Lindell could have done. She just looks a little bit silly, which is why I feel a bit sorry for her, because it went through her legs. But at the end of the day, it's similar to when someone takes a shot and a player lets it go through their legs, and you look silly because you haven't gone for it. You're expecting it to come off someone else, or you're expecting it to go somewhere else. And it was just, you have to give credit to Russo and not look at the goalkeeper there.
100%. Like when you're training, obviously I presume it's like a balance between trying to make your body as big as possible and not getting nutmegged when you're going one-on-one. Again, this is just a freak occurrence last night because of the backheel nature of it. So I'm talking here more about one-on-one situations when a striker is bearing down on goal.
Yeah, I mean, a different situation, you have to try and make yourself as big as possible, and doing that realistically is legs out, arms out, but you can't do that because of the nutmeg situation. So you always have your legs close together, and also it's the worst thing, especially in training. Everybody loves it and it drives me insane. But anyway, I turn into a bit of a crazy woman when someone does that to me. And it's what players always look to do, because they like the flair and they like, it's probably the easiest way to go through, not around, to go through a goalkeeper. But in general, when you're defending in a 1v1 situation, you try to keep your legs closer together. As well as that, you can move quicker, you can adjust quicker when your legs are together. But in this situation, Linda was just getting set, and I think she was thinking about what the next phase of play. She definitely wasn't expecting that.
Why were they able to dominate this game after Spain caused them so many difficulties?
I think it was just key moments in the game, and I don't think they dominated the game at the start. I think Sweden dominated the game, and I think Sweden looked more likely to score. And at this stage of the tournament, and at this stage in women's football in general, the standard has risen so much that if you don't take your chances, or if you don't, turn the screw at key moments, it allows the other team to get back in the game. And it's what England are doing extremely well, which is the surprising fact for me. They haven't done that before. They found it very difficult to get back on top of the game. But now what they're doing is they're soaking up that pressure. They're riding their luck a little bit. Sweden should have been 1-0 up in the first 10 minutes. Didn't happen. They had 2 chances, they didn't score them. And then England were able to get back up on top. And then before the half, Beth Mead, she did nothing all game. We weren't speaking about her all game. And then she just had that one key moment and put the ball away. That's what this tournament is about now, just taking those chances. And then when you take them, being able to stay strong at the back, which England have done extremely well as well. And then, of course, you just grind them down. And England have been just grinding teams down. We've seen it in the Spain game. Spain were a better team. They dominated in possession. They should have scored in key moments. They didn't. And again, England just were able to nick those moments from them and then come out on top.
What would a victory in this competition do for football in England? I don't know if you saw the scenes from Kerry. It's such a long time since Kerry won. It's a whole 8 years, Emma. But you could see the generations passing on to the next generation, and all the kids are there. They're getting their pictures taken. David Clifford is walking amongst them, and he's a god. Like, Beth Mead is going to be a god whenever they're celebrating the trophy if they win it. So what kind of a momentum shifter and game changer would it be for women's football?
It's huge. I mean, they've already had success in that count, already. Just the fact that they're filling the stadiums and they're playing nice football, everyone's enjoying it. So it's already been a success. But if they win it, it's just, it just is going to completely rule sports for the next year. We're going to be talking about the women's team winning the Euros. We're going to be talking about, the success they've had. Little kids are going to be talking about in school. It's a huge thing for England, and as far as I'm concerned, Ireland, because we've got such a close link with them as well. A lot of our girls, are watching BBC at home in Ireland. They're watching this, and it's just fantastic to see. And for a team that's quite close to ours to be able to win something like that gives us a bit of motivation as well. But in general, I think for the FA as well, it shows that what they've been doing over the last 15 years has been the right thing, and the investments they've been putting in and the different structures that they've been implementing, it's just proved that it's working.
Speaking of Ireland, does Sweden's performance give you any concern that Finland might actually do them in September, and as a result Ireland could be in trouble? Because I think we forget that. I think we've kind of assumed that Sweden are just going to beat them in September.
Not really, judging on, Finland, they're a good team. I've enjoyed watching them play as well. They're quite a strong team, but I do think Sweden are a lot stronger. I think this will probably give them even more of a bite to go and beat Finland. They didn't perform. I don't think they've had a great tournament. They certainly won't be happy with their performance yesterday. And I'm hoping that'll give them a kick up the backside, so to speak, and then go and hammer Finland, because we need them to do that. I'm not really worried about that. Sweden are a better team. They're a professional team. And a lot of the players are playing in Champions League, which they need to prepare for as well. So they'll be flying fit going into the game against Finland.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Just one other thing then on England. I mean, you would have been playing there obviously when they were in their last major final, which was 2009. They ended up getting hammered in that final by Germany. 6-2 was the full-time score that time. Was the hype around that England team, relatively speaking, was the hype at a similar level and the expectation at a similar level in 09? Obviously, the home thing is a big difference.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. And there were so many weaknesses in that England team that you kind of knew that Germany were going to pick them apart. They were lucky to get to the final, probably didn't really deserve to be there. But this year is completely different. They deserve to be there. They're playing excellent football. They have maybe one slight weakness in the left back position in Rachel Daly. But again, last night she proved that she is very capable of playing there. So for me, you know, very, very few weaknesses, including the goalkeeper with Mary Earps, who I probably wasn't the biggest fan of at the start of the tournament. But again, she's proved that she deserves to be there and she can play at that level. She's a top goalkeeper. So going into this final is different. And I feel like the manager as well, she's so confident. You nearly feel safe with her. It shows on the pitch. The players are very confident. They trust in her process. And they all know exactly what their job is. And with that kind of information coming as well, with extremely good technical and tactical organisation, they'll be very prepared against Germany. And it just makes a huge difference to these players.
So I sense that you've called tonight's semi-final.
Yeah. Have you changed your tune? Because I think you were very pro-France early in the tournament.
No, do you know what? I don't know. It's just this morning I'm just thinking England, Germany, but I actually don't. I still am going with France. I'm still going with France. But they always let me down. They always let me down. And, you know, they've gone very farther than they've gone before in this tournament. And I've just seen the level. Just it seems like the players just, you know, they aren't. Like, for example, Gaoro, fantastic in the first game, has just slightly slipped down throughout the games, and I can see that happening. I'm just hoping they've woken up this morning, because, you know, I want to be right. I want France to win, to be quite honest. And I hope they perform like they can, because we're always talking about France going out of the tournament having, you know, a poor performance and not played as well as they can. At least if they're not going to go forward, I just hope Germany were just the better side and not the fact that France didn't perform.
And who matches up better against England, do you think?
Who would England want, or?
Well, more, who do you think would actually have a better chance of beating England?
Oh, I actually think Germany.
Right.
I know I'm like totally contradicting myself. I mean, if you were to put money on it, I would put money on Germany quicker than I would France. Just because you don't know how France are going to wake up in the morning, and you can't really depend on them. I wouldn't entrust my money in them, put it that way.
It's mad how that's like been a part of all French sporting culture. Like, you think of the men's team, like the 82 World Cup, the 86 World Cup. It wasn't until 98 when they eventually get over that. The 94 World Cup qualifiers, like, and so maybe the women need to go through that journey and just have that kind of self-confidence that actually they can win this thing. And who knows, maybe this team is the one to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they have the players, but it's like the men's team, they have the players. It's just, I don't know whether it's an attitude going into a game or, you know, they're too individual, because they have the players also who can be stand up and be accounted for. But they are quite individual players, and that's one thing I'd be worried about, the fact that they struggle to play as a team. And then all the crap that's going on off the pitch as well, with them rumours that it's not a happy camp, they're all arguing and stuff like that. That's certainly not going to help, is it?
I wonder, has the situation at Paris Saint-Germain somehow managed to find its way to the national team as well? Can I just ask you about one thing, right? If Serena Wiegman is so good, is she so good because she's really good, or is she also so good in comparison with what Phil Neville was doing before that?
No, it just, I mean, you can't really talk about Phil Neville. You can talk about just a manager coming in and being very, very confident, and just how they manage the players. What's happened is she's gone in there and she has just convinced all the players that she knows exactly what she's doing and they trust her, and it's working. It's just a combination of everything. Players at the right time, in the right form. You know, it's just a bit of luck as well. Like, she has the players, she knows the players she wants. She's been very, very brave in some of her decisions and keeping the team. which I think has helped her, whereas Phil Neville didn't. He changed it a lot, and he might have succumbed to pressure a little bit with players. And Sarina Wiegman seems to know exactly what player she wants in there, and that's not going to change, which she has for me, the biggest decision to make now for her in the final is whether to play Alessia Russo or Ellen White. And, even with that, Ellen White wasn't playing for City. She hasn't played for City, hasn't been a regular for City all season. Another manager wouldn't have started her. They would have started someone who's playing and in form. And Wiegman didn't do that. And I think it worked out. I really like Ellen White. I think she's a great addition to the team. But she has to make a decision now, because Alessia Russo is banging on that door. And, I tweeted last night about, it's not about, it's the best for the team, I don't mind being on the bench. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. They want to start. I know Russo, I played with her at Birmingham. I played her at Brighton Hove and Albion. She's very, very ambitious. She wants to play. She wants to score. She's not going to want to sit on the bench. She wants to start. And I think she's probably proved that she should.
It's a good situation to be in when the competition is so high that somebody scores like an all-time worldie and they're not quite sure of a place in the team. Just one last question on Phil Neville then. It seems like it was such a weird decision in retrospect to give it to somebody who didn't actually know enough and wasn't properly qualified, that they just, for whatever reason, it's like such a low wattage celebrity football person that they gave it to him, when actually giving the job to the right person who comes in and has an overarching plan and has experience and understands the opposition really well, has been hugely beneficial to them.
Yeah, and I think it was at the point in time in women's football where there was a bit of a shift. It was on the way up. There was building that community of fans, and I think it was just a case of having someone coming from men's football, and he's a big player, played at United. I think that's what they felt they needed, just to kind of boost it again even more. I don't think he was the right person for the job, but he did a job, and for me it kind of gained a little bit more interest because he was there. And unfortunately that's what had to happen. But now I think women's football is a standalone. It can, we don't need to do that anymore. It has to go to, jobs have to be given. It's not just filling quotas. They have to be given to the best person for the job. And women's football can afford to do that now, because we have gained that fan base, and it's only going to grow from here.
So it sounds like you're expecting football to come home and trying to make some peace with that in advance. Is that the correct summation of how you're feeling?
Trying to make peace with it, but it's going to be a great thing. The way I look at it, it's a great thing for Ireland as well. And I've always said it, as much as, yes, I want the league in Ireland to improve, and it's a shame that players have to move abroad, but I've said it since day one. The only way we're going to improve as a nation, as a country, is if we push players to play in better leagues, to play with better players, so they can improve and then come back to the Irish team, like we did when we were 18 years old. We didn't want to leave. We didn't want to leave our families, but we did it because we knew we were going to improve as players, and we did. So for me, it's going to have a knock-on effect. It's going to improve football in our country for the national team. And we're going to try and push players to play in the WSL.
One last thing as well, the fact that this is a COVID delayed and the World Cup rolls out straight away next year, it's never actually been better. And in that way, I can totally see how England winning this is going to be a massive surge of interest in the WSL and in our players, and hopefully we qualify for the World Cup next year. And in that instance, you can totally see how this is a rolling ball of momentum for Irish football.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it always has been. There always has been a little knock-on effect with us. But now it's just massive, because we're exploiting women's football and everybody can watch it. And, everybody knows what's going on in Ireland with the English League, which might not have been the case when I was playing. So obviously it's going to have a knock-on effect. And, everybody's interested. It's like when Wimbledon's on, everyone's out playing tennis on the road. Well, I was anyway. And now football is on the telly. Everybody can watch it, and even at home, everybody's talking about it. My dad's watching all the games. He's complaining about this player, that player. So, you know, of course, it's going to have a knock-on effect. And the fact that it's rolling on to the World Cup, the qualifiers in September, I think is a great thing. So nobody has a chance to relax and start watching something else.
The pre-sale for the women's tickets for Ireland, Finland went on sale yesterday, and there's a big push to get Tala full for it, and a home full stadium. If we win that game, it doesn't really matter what the Finns will do after that. So hopefully that's the inspiration that everybody takes, and they get out and they make a lot of noise in Tala on that night. Great to have you with us, Emma. Enjoy the rest of the tournament as much as you can. Cheers.
Thanks guys. Bye.
It's Emma Byrne, always great.